Yahoo Sports NFL This Week is brought to you by Speed Stick Stain Guard. Helps fight yellow stains.
The Saints and Vikings squared off in the NFC Championship Classic last year. Are they the two favorites again this season? I'm Larry Beal, joined by Yahoo's NFL analyst Tiki Barber and Yahoo Sports NFL writer Jason Cole. Division by division, guys, let's start with the defending champs. Do the Saints win the South again, Jason?
Oh, I like the Saints a lot. I don't like them to have the same kind of year where they sort of toyed with going undefeated until losing to Dallas. But I like the Saints again. I think there's going to be a little bit of hangover, which is natural in New Orleans. And so I think that they come a little bit back to earth and get chased a little bit by Atlanta. But ultimately, they have the deepest team, clearly, in the South.
On to the team they beat in the conference championship, and that would be the Minnesota Vikings, Tiki. And how much of the Vikings' success is tied to Brett Favre's decision to play or not play?
I think a great deal of it is tied to Brett Favre's decision. And from what we kind of feel, he is going to come back and play. You're talking about his ankle. Honestly, I think he just doesn't want to go to training camp. And as you get older, especially when you're 40 years old, the last thing you want to do is go spend 4 weeks bouncing around in a college town trying to get ready for a football season. But I do think this team has a lot of the components. Defensively, they're still solid, especially in the middle with the Williams kids. Adrian Peterson, I hope, overcomes his fumbling problem so he doesn't become a liability as he did in that championship game where they essentially turned the game over to the Saints, and that's why they went to the Super Bowl. But Brett Favre will come back. He will be the same kind of leader, the same kind of passer that he has been because he just can't he can't not be that guy, and the Minnesota Vikings will win the North.
Well, he has actually a few more millions of reasons to come back, Tiki. They gave him a big bump and a raise. He's going to make about $20 million when he finally does come back. So they gave him a little bit of an incentive. So I think that Favre will ultimately come back. I just think I have a hard time believing that he's going to have the same kind of year. And I really like the Green Bay Packers, a young roster, particularly on defense. You know, they did pretty well with that 3-4 last year and going to it for the first time. I think they're going to show great progress with the 3-4 this year, put a lot more pressure on the passer defensively, and Aaron Rodgers is just terrific. I mean, he's just amazing. Their offensive football team was fantastic last year. I expect them to continue that. I really like the Packers to overtake the Vikings.
Jason, let's move to the NFC East.
Oh, I really like Dallas in the NFC East. I think they're the deepest team in football that I've seen so far. They got a little bit of a problem at left tackle if Doug Free gets hurt, but they've got all the other weapons, and their pass rush is extraordinarily deep. I like Dallas to take that division, and actually probably pretty handily.
Tiki, NFC West, the 49ers are the trendy pick?
I think you got to go with the trendy pick. The division is so open and so many questions at quarterback. There's a new head coach in Seattle. But Mike Singletary brings the right kind of attitude. If they get the Alex Smith question at quarterback figured out, they could have a real good chance of being a good team.
Finally, who makes it to Dallas for the Super Bowl out of the NFC? Jason, you know it's Jerry Jones' dream to be playing a home game in the Super Bowl. Will that happen?
No, unfortunately, it's going to be his nightmare because they're going to lose to Green Bay somewhere along the line. I really love the Green Bay Packers this year. I really love the things that they've done on defense. I really like the progress that they made. I think that they could, be faced up with the Vikings in an NFC Championship game, which will be an absolute classic, and I like the Packers to move on.
Tiki?
I love Drew Brees. I love Sean Payton, and I think the Saints are going to get back to the Super Bowl in Dallas this season.
Thank you, guys. This is Yahoo Sports coverage of the NFL.